Hi, my name is Bill Bradley. I'm an extreme endurance athlete and motivational speaker. The topic of today's video is lessons from the Arrowhead. I just attempted my 6th Arrowhead race and I finished 85 miles. I'm going to give you the positive first because I really thought I was going to finish this year. So the positives were that I hit the gateway, which is the 35-mile checkpoint, about an hour ahead, faster than I've ever hit it. I hit the 73-mile checkpoint at Mel George's about an hour ahead and of what I've ever done. And I was strong. I mean, my coach, Amanda McIntosh, what a freaking fabulous job. I mean, she trained my ass off. I thought she was crazy, but shit, I'm in good shape. And so, but what I did was I think the main, I'm still like in my own head, I'm analyzing exactly what went wrong, why I didn't finish, you know, how much was mental, how much was physical. But one thing I did is I think I'm in such good shape that I was able to go through the first night with no sleep, and I've never done that before. And I think it came back and haunted me because, so when I went out of Mel George's, I had redlined it to hit that 73-mile checkpoint. That was one of the reasons I didn't sleep either, was I usually get in there and have to rush and everything's crazy before they cut it off. And you know, before you miss the cutoff and you can't go on in the race. And so I wanted to give myself some cushion, so I figured I'd skip the sleep break and you know, and just do some caffeine through the night. And that's exactly what I did. And I got in there 2 hours before the cutoff, and I had plenty of time to do my thing, but I had no sleep, you know. And one thing on the trail we all ask when you pass other competitors, oh, did you sleep yet? No. One guy's like, oh, I got 3 hours of sleep in 2 hours, and how much you get? None. And you know, I mean, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. And so anyway, we leave Mel George's and I head out, and I'm strong and I'm Terminator. And I'm like, and I'll tell you, when I left Mel George's, because I really wanted to make this, like you guys wouldn't believe. And when this part really gets to me. When I left Mel George's, one of the guys who's picked me up a couple times out here, one of the snowmobile guys, and those guys are like gods in my eyes because they come around, you're out there in the middle of nowhere, so I'm usually not with anybody, and they come around and check on you every, you know, 2 or 3 or 8 or 10 hours, but, you know, they're around, and he looked at me. Yeah, he told me when I left Mel George's that I was his hero. I said, shit, man, you're my hero. And I said, I'm making it for you. And so I went out of there, and I was so fucking determined, man. And I still hadn't slept. And my buddy Ray said, if you go through the first night without sleeping, you might sleep about 4 o'clock. And I still felt good, though, so I didn't sleep at 4. And, you know, it got to be about, I don't know, I guess about 6. So now I've gone almost a day and a half with no sleep. And I mean, I'm redlining it. And even though the Mel George's cut off, I was really, you know, you can be really close to that because I think they're trying to weed everybody out who they don't think is, you know, if you're not strong enough. But then for this next, if I kept going at the pace I was going, I would have made the checkpoint by 5 hours. And so I was, you know, like one guy I was with, he said, well, after Mel George's, I'm going to sleep for 3 hours. And I'm thinking like, man, I have to finish this thing. And now I'm getting so tired that I'm worried that if I sleep, I might not wake up in a couple hours, you know, even with an alarm on, because you're starting to get so tired. And I've done that before, you know. I did that before in the Susitna, where I thought I'd sleep for an hour and I slept for like 4 hours. And I just didn't want to take this chance of not finishing the race. So I don't know what you know. So the lesson right here is I have to schedule my sleep breaks, whatever they are. I can't wing them when I'm out there. Because all of a sudden, so I got into this, you know, now I'm into it a day and a half, and I'm like, I probably had, you know, a couple hours off my feet. I've been pushing it for, you know, 34 to 36 hours, just redlining it. Freaking, my coach got me in such great freaking shape, man. I thought she was crazy with how hard my workouts were, but geez, I was freaking strongest I've ever been by far. And so then all of a sudden at, you know, like I said, about a day and a half, it's like my back starts to hurt. And at first I start thinking, wow, I'm really starting to get tired. You know, I'm really starting to get tired. And I don't know if I can push this for another day, you know. I don't know. And I'm now, because I didn't sleep, I'm not logical, you know. Oh, wait. Before this even happened, let me tell you this story. So first, my Camelback, the drinking thing, you know, the little tip of it, you know, came off. And I was so delirious now from not sleeping that I couldn't get it back on. And then I go, well, I'll just run with it not on, right? And so then, wrong. So I try and run and water shooting up in the air, landing, soaking my gloves. And I'm like, oh, that's probably not a good idea in the middle of the night in Arrowhead. And so I work on that, getting that tip back on, you know, the top of it. And anyway, that was a waste of I lost a half hour there because I was delirious. And then the next thing I did was I'm going up the trail, and all of a sudden I look and I go, wow, that's really weird. Everybody's walking on, because it was fresh snow. Because it was snowing at that time. And I'm looking and all the trail marks are coming the other direction. Right? They're coming the other direction. And they're on the left side of the trail. And I go, wow, that's really weird, man. Why is everybody walking on the left side of the trail? And so I keep walking down the trail. I go, oh, well, I'm going to stay on the right-hand side of the trail. And then one of the other racers, a lady from Brazil, comes up. She goes, you're on the, you know, in broken English, you're going the wrong way, you're going the wrong way. And I'm thinking like, no, I'm not. How can I be going the wrong way? All I'm doing is walking straight down the trail. She goes, no, you're going the wrong way, you're going the wrong way. And then so then I called Rob, and I still had cell service at that point. And I called Rob and I said, I just passed this Brazil lady. She says I'm going the wrong way. And she looked it up on the GPS because I had my spot. She says, I think you're going the wrong way too, Bill. I go, oh, shoot. So, yeah, so anyway, I ended up having to turn around. I followed, you know, the Brazil lady up there, and I saw what had happened. I saw my footprints. I was walking on the trail, stopped, and then I just turned around and started walking the wrong way backwards. I mean, I can't skip the whole first night's sleep. The one guy I was with, he went through the whole night because Mel George's is such a tight cutoff too, and he was about my pace. And then he slept for like, he was going to plan on going just outside down to a rest, one of those rest things where it has an overhang, you know. And he was going to sleep for like 3 hours there. I think 3 hours, man, I got to make this. I'm making this for sure. I'm not going to sleep for 3 hours. And he probably made it, you know. So anyway, but yeah, between those two things, they already got me unsettled. And then like we said, it had started snowing. It snowed almost the whole first day, 6 to 7 hours. And the trail was starting to get pretty soft, and your feet are sliding out, and it's not like a firm trail, which is a lot easier. And it's starting to slide, and then it got into the night, and so first off, I'm like, you know, so here it's 7 o'clock the next night, a day and a half I've been going strong, and I go like, wow, I'm really getting tired, like really tired. And I started to slow down. I was like, wow, I go, and then all of a sudden I go, I wonder if I'm going to make, then the doubt goes in your head, you know, because you're so tired. You go, I wonder if I'm going to make this. Can I push this for another 24 hours? And then on top of that, it started to snow again, the heaviest it had snowed. So then that starts working on my mind. And then I went and I was, it started getting dark, and I put my headlamp on, and it started going out. I mean, it was a headlamp from the first night, and we had got it mixed up. You know, I had got it mixed up with with my Second Life headlamp, and so I went back to find it, and you know, somebody had helped me pack my stuff, and he had told me where he packed it, but I couldn't find it. So I'm looking in there, and it's starting to get dark, and my headlamp's dying, and I'm panicking now. You don't want to be sitting on the edge of the Arrowhead Trail in the middle of the night, pitch black, and I'm panicking. And then because my back had just started hurting, and then it was like full-fledged. It went into this big cramp, crazy thing. I'd never felt anything like it. You know those, anyway. So by the time I found the light and I tried to start going down the trail again, I literally, my back was so screwed up. You ever see those really old people who got like bent backs? Usually they're forward, looks like they're looking for change or something, you know? Well, mine bent me to the side. I was like a boomerang. I was like, ugh. My mind, I think my mind was in my I'm big about the mind, right? So my subconscious mind was in a panic, man, and it was not going to let me go on. I mean, the pain was level 10, man, like off the charts. And I'm in this boomerang position. I'm trying to go, and the time's going by. I've lost a couple of those hours, and anyway, I think what I learned most was, you know, this was just strategy. I got to think out my sleep better. The sleep's critical, at least for me. Friends of mine can blow through the first night with no problem. But I think the sleep, either the first night or right after Mel George's The Sleep, would have been critical, you know, just critical. Could have made a huge difference. Because I couldn't think straight when I was up there. When all this stuff started going wrong, I mean, come on, who walks down the trail and then turns around and goes back the other way? Like and they think they're still going straight. You're kind of out of it at that point, you know? I needed more sleep. But I thought the other thing I thought was that, so I went into this with, you know, law of attraction, right? You just freaking put it out there, what you're going to do, and I believe in this strongly. No matter what, Terminator, I'm finishing the Arrowhead. I'm finishing the Arrowhead. Terminator, I'm finishing the Arrowhead, right? Because I will tell you guys, I spend half of my training, you know, as much training as I spend physically, I spend on it mentally too. I spend that much mentally. And I said, okay, I'm putting it out there, man, that I'm not stopping. I'm the Terminator. I put that Terminator mindset into me. I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. Well, then when I got tired, you know, I was starting to, you know, really get really tired. And then all of a sudden you start thinking that, well, I don't know if I'm going to finish. And then you're going like, man, I put that out to like millions of people. Maybe not quite millions. But in my head, it felt like millions that I'm finishing. And then all of a sudden you got all that pressure on you that you have to finish no matter what. And so, but your back, because of that, I think because of that pressure, my back really was cramping up because of that too, you know. You throw in that pressure, the headlamp going out the wrong way on the trail, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 of these things in a row, and it just starts blowing your brain apart, especially when you can't think straight. And so yeah, that was really so what I'm going to do about that, though, what I learned from that is I'm going to go back to my hypnotist and say, hey, I got to be able to put it out there to the world that I'm freaking finishing. I'm finishing no matter what, but I can't if something goes wrong and you don't finish, I can't have all that pressure on me, you know what I mean? Because you do fail, man. This is my 6th attempt at it. I failed 6 times. It failed. You know, no matter how hard you try, how much, it only takes one little error. You know, maybe if I'd slept for a half hour that first night, maybe I would have finished, because I would have thought clearer, and all that crazy stuff on the trail wouldn't have happened, you know. So, but yeah, but I feel so good about next year. Because what does the Terminator say? I'll be back. I didn't want to say that, but fuck, I gotta say I'll be back. And yeah, but I learned a lot, and I know what's working. I'll tell you, one other thing that worked was my friend Ray suggested these water bottles. I've had my water freeze tubes. You don't do real well without water up here. My water did not freeze with these fancy bottles he told me to buy. And so that was a super big positive. My food seemed in order. I'll tell you another thing. I pushed so hard that when, you know, because I wanted to make it so bad for myself and you guys and, you know, the guy with the, you know, my buddy who's out there with the snowmobile. And I pushed so freaking hard that when I couldn't go on, I started dry heaving on the road. I was just like, I pushed so hard that I made myself sick, you know. It was everything I could give, but just not smartly given, So I learned that. And so anyway, I'll be back. Learned a lot of lessons. Really feel like some of the areas I've really improved in. 5 hours ahead of that cutoff going in there. If I would have just, You know, just like I said, that guy pulling over and sleeping for 2 to 3 hours afterwards, you know, after the Mel George checkpoint at 73 miles, would have been a huge difference, you know. So I'll learn from this, and I'll be back. So anyway, well, thank you very much, and if you're interested, you can email me at epicbillbradley@gmail.com.